Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I don't know how many of you guys are members of a group on Facebook that I'm in called the Handyman Journey, but we have a lot of comments there and in other remodelers worldwide, various groups like that, about what we charge and people being not confident enough to charge their true value. Well, I want to do a little video and kind of explain what my perspective is on this and what I've learned over the last few years of having. I have three different businesses. I have a horse boarding stable, I have the construction company, and I have a rental company. I have home rentals, I manage some houses, and a lot of information on that will be on a new channel. I'm thinking that I'll probably start for that. But as all this kind of relates to the construction side of things, people constantly post a question. You know, they'll have a picture of a room, they'll have a picture of a deck, something, and say, what would you charge to do this? I'm going to bid it tomorrow, you know, and I want to know your numbers. Well, first of all, that's a complete impossibility and is inaccurate at best, because the guy posting the picture could be in New Jersey. I'm giving him my idea of a quote, sight unseen other than a picture, from Oklahoma. The geographics, the demographics, the income inequality, everything is totally different from state to state. It's totally different from one side of the state to the other. It could be different in town, downtown, wherever you happen to be. It's different, so it's not accurate. So, a bid that I'd say I need $2,000 to sheetrock that, and somebody else says, well, that's a complete ripoff. I'd do that for $800. And then obviously somebody else will come in and go, wow, I'm lucky to get $400 to do that. Well, I have a specific day rate, and it changes. So as this video ages, it's not going to be accurate anymore. My rates change yearly. Right now, me with a helper is around $1,000 a day. So that makes it very simple to figure this up on video here. I came to that amount based on what I need in order to run a legitimate business, insured, bonded, correct with the city, permitting, everything I have to do, my overhead, the tools I want to operate, wear and tear on a vehicle, mileage, what my mileage deductions are every year. I drive 40 to 50,000 miles a year in this business. You're killing vehicles. This needs to be built into your daily rate. If you're pulling a work trailer, I have a 21-foot shop trailer. There's video about that here on the channel. You're wearing out axles, tires, the trailer itself is wearing out. Every tool in that trailer is wearing out. To even count up how many dollars worth of tools I have, I don't even know. It would be difficult. I'm going to say somewhere north of 100,000 in just working tools that are involved in this one business. So, all of those things are going down in value. They're being used. They could break any day. All this needs to be added to your day rate. So your day rate, if you have $250,000 in tools and they have a 5-year lifespan maybe, or obviously they're not doing that, but whatever your setup is, you need to know it. And that is only relevant to you. It's not relevant to me. If it costs you $100 a day to be in business, whether you leave the house or not, then what do you need to make for the days that you do work? When you come up with all those numbers and what it costs you for your health insurance, your employees, what it costs taking employees out to lunch every day. I like to do that for my employees. It's just something I do. And everything goes into this. Put it all on paper. There are so many expenses you have no idea probably what you're spending on everything. What do you spend for a place to store your tools? If you have larger tools, do you have to rent tools you don't have? Tools you do have, what would you charge if you had to go rent that tool? Like if I have to bring scaffolding to a job, I happen to own scaffolding, but I keep it in my shop. Now, if I had to rent that scaffolding, that would be part of my quote. That doesn't mean the customer gets to use my scaffolding for free just because I happen to own it. It's built into my daily rate. So every tool I use every day in some minute way is part of that daily $1,000 rate. Everything is, from my gas, my tires, my batteries that are wearing out on tools, blades, everything is calculated into that to make a living wage. And not just live. If you want to take some vacations every year, who's going to pay for it? You don't have an employer, and he's not going to. You don't get 2 weeks paid vacation every year. You don't get 6 weeks, whatever your friends are getting, unless you build it in. You have to build it in throughout the year. The only one responsible for this is you. So, a little thing I learned a long time ago too, if you don't do this math, it's quite possible that you're working for nothing, or not much north of nothing. And this is why so many small businesses fail in the first few years. And I would say even more of this type of business, construction, fail, or they're just completely insolvent. You begin funding your dream of a business with other sources of income just to keep it floating. You get to the end of the year and you can't pay your taxes. Numbers of things like this that pop up continually, living paycheck to paycheck as a contractor. You have to do this math. Most of us probably hate it, but sit down, figure it out. You only need to do this every year, every other year. If anything dramatic changes in your business, then alter it a little bit. But for me, I do it every year. I get a total, how long my vehicle's going to last, everything, and I figure that out. A lot of this information will come from your taxes. When you do your taxes, if you're taking a mileage deduction, you know how much that deduction was. If I'm driving 50,000 miles in a year at 50-something cents a mile that the government's given, that's $25,000 to $30,000 in wear and tear on a vehicle in 1 year. So, if that's true, you need to charge for that. Otherwise, what if you only made $40,000 this year working as a contractor, and you drove 50,000 miles? What have you really made? About 10. And that's before you even start adding in all of the other things that you had to buy to stay afloat. Tools and everything that you wore out, went through, work boots, clothes, you name it. Painting supplies, brushes, everything. It's all part of it. Figure it out. Know your numbers. I know some parts of the state, some parts of the country, this amount that I charge per day is going to sound absolutely ridiculous. Other parts, I'm probably low. But this is what I've come up with that I need to make. And you need to also have production value of you and your team where you are worth that. When me and one of my helpers shows up, or two of my helpers show up, we do so much work in a day that it shocks people even that are paying that rate. They have no problem with it after they see what's accomplished in a day. The tools are on point. We show up on time every single day. Our insurance is right there. It goes with every quote we send out. Everything is as it should be. And when you do it that way, it will just work. That's just the way it is. And you also need to figure in enough to start investing. And I choose to buy rent houses. I buy rundown homes. I remodel them when I have days that I don't have a job. That's something we'll get into on the rental page, and how I'm figuring those things out as well as I've gone. I've been doing that for about 7 years maybe on the rentals. But I have 6 houses now. So you work your way up, and those houses help support you when you have a downturn, or you want to take more time off, or you want to back off on work, whatever it may be. But know your numbers, come up with these numbers, and don't have this problem of assuming that just because somebody else's bid is different than yours, they're either working for nothing or they're ripping somebody off. That, to me, is a very ignorant statement. you have no idea what goes into running their company. They could be one man and 19 tools out of the bed of a pickup truck that's $2,000 truck. And literally their only expense is what it took to get there that day. And maybe they have some low-end insurance and they're running this business legitimately, but cheap. They don't have to bid what I have to bid or what you have to bid. They bid what fits them. But also, as part of what I was starting this video with, don't be afraid to bid what you're worth. I learned this, really the best little object lesson I have of it. Like, I could bid a job at $450 a day and I could probably survive. But if I bid at my regular rate, I will thrive. I'll have better tools every year and will increase. We won't be going backwards or staying at the same place. You should always have a goal to be better year over year, better equipment, better setup, better paperwork, everything. Just having the confidence to bid at your correct rate, knowing that that's what you have to make, that will help make you confident when you know your numbers. So when the customer comes back and says, well, that sounds a little high, my budget for that is $700 and you're bidding $1,200. And you say, well, I understand that. Unfortunately, this is what I have to make to run a legitimate company doing this. We stand behind our work, we put out quality work, and this is why we stay scheduled up all the time at this rate. I can't afford to do this work any cheaper. This is exactly what I need to make. And it'll bring a level of confidence to you that you've never experienced before if you don't do that. I learned this through my boarding stable, actually, probably 10 to 12 years ago. I was charging $75 a month to have a horse at the stable. And I was really sweating about going up to 100 because I really need to make 100. The bills are so much, all this. This place needs to be $100 per horse. But what I told myself the whole time is if I go to $100, I already know this person, they can't afford that. I'm going to lose those horses to somewhere else. I don't know what they're going to do. Well, eventually I got to a point where I just pulled the trigger and did it. I went to 100. And I had, I believe, about 25 horses to board it at the time. And I lost 5 of them immediately. I think they were there one more month and they were gone. Okay, so 5 horses times $75 is $375. Wow, we lost a lot of money, right? Well, here's the thing. We still had 20 horses. Only those 20 were now paying $25 a horse more. So what did our income actually do? The following month, we lost $375 worth of boarders, but we made $500 more money with 5 less horses, which means we had more room to bring in new horses while still making good money. Then we were able to upgrade fences and electric chargers and water tanks and and put in new electric service, things that we were never able to do before, better tack rooms, everything. This translates to this business. If you charge what you're worth and you charge what you need to make to not survive, but thrive in this construction business, then you will love every day going to work. You'll love every minute of it, and you will succeed. But a few random thoughts from me on a lot of the posts I've seen lately. Cheer up. Don't be down in the dumps about it. Get your numbers spot on. Don't be afraid to give them out to people. And if you miss 2, 3, 5 out of 10, it will not matter because you wouldn't have made money on those anyway. Now that you know your numbers, those other 5 will pay you more than the 10 you would have got with your cheaper rate. Bid what you have to make because you have to make it. See you guys later. Thanks for stopping in.